Hello, welcome. Sorry for the hair, excuse the hair. It was a lot, so I just put it up in a bun. So I'm guessing you're here because you want to know what an ex-vegan has to say about what I'm eating now, why I turned to eating meat again, and yeah, just why. I'm gonna make a short video because I don't want this to be too long. There is a lot to say, but I just want to be straight to the point. Yeah, I was plant-based for, I would say, yeah, plant-based for about 6 years, 7 years. I was plant-based at 22. So maybe like 7 years. I'm 29 now. So yeah, I was plant-based for several reasons, one of which was I had a lot of acne and it was severe acne, and I knew that dairy could be an issue, and it was the issue. And when I took that out of my diet, it's why I turned to being plant-based. And then the meat just naturally happened, taking out meat out of my diet. I wanted to see how I felt, and I felt amazing. I felt like I slept better, I had a lot of hair. I felt good. I had a lot of energy. So there was no complaints in the beginning. The first, I think maybe 5 years, but the past 3 years is when I started to dwindle. And I was actually talking to a friend last night, a new friend who was vegan, and now he's eating meat again. And I have a lot of friends who were, once vegans are now eating meat again. And last night he told me that he wasn't feeling good as well. He felt amazing in the beginning, but at the end of it, he felt terrible. And when we were talking about it, I knew that this had to be true. Eating meat is the way for me, at least. And anyway, so at the last 3 years of being plant-based, I had a loss of hair. My hair became I had bald spots in between my scalp. You just had to see it from at the top, but I had bald spots. I was losing a lot of hair. I started to thin. And then I had anemic at one point. I was anemic at one point. I had low iron. I felt really tired, lethargic, and I didn't sleep well. I was tossing and turning because I was hungry. And I thought to myself, oh, it's just me having a fast metabolism. This is fine, which I do have a fast metabolism, but it was not fine because I was going the way of eating plant-based in a low-fat way, a low-fat diet. I was eating a lot of carbs and healthy food like legumes, quinoa, and stuff like that, but I wasn't having enough fats. And even avocado wasn't enough for me. I needed something denser. And so, I kept telling myself it was stress that was causing all these issues, the loss of hair, issues with my minerals and nutrients like iron. It had to be that reason. I told myself. I kept telling myself I didn't want to research more about nutrition because I thought I had all the answers. I thought plant-based was the way. And so my friend a really good friend of mine and my nutrition coach, he actually was plant-based for 9 years, and he started eating meat. And he told me, don't be surprised if you see me eating meat. And I had to know, what are you doing? I was actually a little bit annoyed because I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you eating meat again? You're my buddy. You're in this with me. But it's okay. He had to do what he had to do. And after he told me that he couldn't process legumes or certain starchy vegetables because of his microbiome, it just couldn't take it anymore. He had to change his diet. Before he was feeling tired, lethargic, having a foggy brain like most of the ex-vegans had before. And when he started eating a piece of meat, like a steak, he felt amazing. He told me he felt like he could focus. He felt like he had a lot more energy. He felt more calm. And so I wanted to know more. And I asked him, I'm not sure if I'm going to ever eat meat, but I would love to know why this is true, why eating meat could do this to your body. And so I researched the other side of the argument of being a meat eater. And then as I researched, my mom also was going through her own nutrition journey. And she actually hired my friend who's a nutrition coach as her nutrition coach. And then she started eating the way that he was eating, similarly, not exactly, but similarly. And, she's very much into regenerative farming, organic vegetables, organic spices, everything organic. And so she started to teach me because, I want to have a relationship with my mom, have something in common, and I wanted to see her side of the argument and see why eating meat for her was good for her. And so she sent me some stuff, started to research on my own about it. And it took about, like, I think about 2 months of doing this research on my own and coming to the conclusion that, also, I will say that, my friend of 9 years, not my friend of 9 years, I wish, I think it's like 5 years. But anyway, my friend who was vegan for 9 years, who's now eating meat, my nutrition coach, I saw him like a month after he started eating meat, and I looked at his body, and he was always fit, but now he had like bigger guns, like he looked so much more stronger. And in my mind, I'm thinking, what? What is happening? And he's like, yep, it's the meat, muscle feeds muscle, so that took me by surprise. But anyway, so after seeing his transformation, after seeing my mom's transformation as well, it took her only 2 months for her to feel a difference in her body. I started to really experiment, because I told myself, it's not going to hurt for one day if you eat one steak, okay? You're going to survive, you're going to be fine. So I decided to buy a steak from Whole Foods, organic grass-fed steak. And yes, you should buy organic grass-fed steak. It's very important that you buy organic grass-fed steak. Okay. And so I bought it, cooked it at home. And I'm like, oh man, like, it's weird that I don't feel bad for eating this. Like, I felt guilty for not feeling guilty. And it's funny. Anyway. And so, as I ate the piece of steak, I was like, okay, this is yummy. I'm not gonna lie, this is yummy. And then after like 30 minutes, and like once I finished the steak, and after 30 minutes, I felt amazing. I felt like I had high energy. I had no foggy brain. I felt happy. I felt very joyful. I was like, okay, like, I like this. This is pretty good. And so, yeah, I just didn't stop that day. I kept going. I'm like, this is actually pretty good. This is not bad. And so, that night, that first day I ate meat, that night I slept like a baby, because A, I was satiated. B, I felt like I had the nutrients that I needed, like the heme iron in steak and beef and red meat, I think is what I needed. Because when my menstrual cycle, FYI boys, sorry, this is TMI, but it has to be said, okay? So my menstrual cycle, when it came around the corner later that month, I started eating red meat a lot more that week. And when I started to get cramps the first day, I ate this red meat, this red meat patty, beef patty, and I felt so much better, and my cramps stopped. Pretty incredible. It's the heme iron and the animal fat that helped me like stabilize my menstrual cycle. Like, I just stopped having cramps because I ate red meat. There has to be something to be said about heme iron, how it's easily absorbed in your body compared to iron from spinach. It seems to just flush out of my body. Even though I was eating enormous amounts of spinach and kale every day, it made me no longer anemic, but I still had low irons. But with heme iron, I'm sure it shot up. I have to do a blood test. I'll show it later on. But I'm sure my iron shot up because my body, I think human bodies easily absorb heme iron and sustains the iron in your body, because I feel so good. I feel so amazing. It's what I needed for my menstrual cycle. Meat is what I needed for staying full. Like, I'm full for 4 hours straight. Before, when I was plant-based, I had to eat more, and I had to eat a little bit more of fats to sustain my hunger, because I would be hungry every 2 hours. No. I'm tired of it. I'm sorry, I'm tired of it. I mean, being plant-based, 100% plant-based can be doable. It can, but you have to be on top of it every day, because if you miss one day, you can deplete a nutrient or a mineral. You have to be basically an Olympian, and, I feel so honored to be 100% plant-based before. Like, I am very proud of myself for doing that, because it was hard. But because I live in LA, it was easy to go out and find options and, do that, this and the other. But now, like, eating meat, I feel more relaxed. I feel like, I can just, there's less meal prep time. I feel like I have more energy. I sleep like a baby. It helped my menstrual cycle, cramps to cease, to stop. So right now, I have been eating meat for about 2 months. Amazing. I feel great. And I eat organic vegetables, organic everything, organic meat, organic chicken, organic grass-fed meat, well, beef, like beef, steak, and things like that. I eat eggs. I eat butter, cook with butter and olive oil, coconut oil. So I add a lot more fats to my diet now because with someone who has high fast metabolism and who needs fat in her body to sustain her hunger, I eat a lot of fats, like healthy fats and animal fats, because that's what helps me focus and have more energy, oddly enough, compared to sugar, which is like a quick high and a fast low. And so, yeah, my life has changed eating meat. I feel great. I do recommend for people who are plant-based, like if you're vegan, plant-based, and you have like what I described as like the similar issues I was having in my body, I would really take a look at what you're eating. Like if you really don't want to eat meat, then you're gonna have to be an Olympian every day, okay? And it can be done, but you gotta be an Olympian every day. Make sure you get your minerals and nutrients in, make sure that you keep track of it all. Take blood tests every other month, every 2 months, every 3 months, see where you're at, make sure to take supplements. And so, yeah, that's what I would recommend if you do want to be 100% plant-based. But if you do want to experiment, come on over, come to my channel. I'm going to talk more about this and help you understand why meat is good for you, why even eggs and butter are good for you. What's the difference between organic meat versus non-organic meat, grass-fed versus non-grass-fed, why there's a difference between those two. And so that's what I'm going to be talking further on my channel. I'm still 50% plant-based, but the other 50% I do eat meat. It's done a difference to my body, and I've come to the conclusion, I've said this in my prior video, that we really have to listen to our bodies. Like, yes, experiment, yes, read studies, yes, research, do what you have to do in order to get the science and understand what you're doing, but also listen to your body. Like, listen to what you need and what you don't need, what your stomach is having issues with digesting and what it's not. When you feel tired after or before a meal, things like that. And I think for me, at least I can say for myself, is that I feel like I'm on fire. Like I feel amazing. Like I just feel like this is a whole new world, in my opinion. And I just, I wanted to make this video to reach out to people who are vegans, vegetarians, plant-based eaters, and who have had similar issues like I did in the past. I don't want you to think that there's no way out. I get that if you're coming from an ethical standpoint, I understand where you're coming from. I do think there has to be something to be said of animals being of, how do I explain this? I want to be careful with this because I will talk about this in another video about ethics, but there has to be something to it when you feel good after eating meat. There has to be something to be said, and I'll talk more about pasture raised and having animals in an open range. Anyway, I'll talk about that in another video, but I understand where you're coming from. That's what I'm saying. And I get it. But at the end of the day, you have to take care of your body. You have to take care of you first. And I hope this video is helpful for you to maybe have an open mind and see the other side of the argument and see maybe this could be for you, eating meat could be for you. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, even, talking about your side of the argument, maybe we can talk about that. But yeah, all right, well, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is something that you can think about at home. But other than that, have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.